Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Lisa, also known as Fiber Nymph, and this video is basically part 2 of yesterday's episode that I recorded. That would have been on the 13th of June, and I named that one Samples Galore. That's what it was. Hey guys, it's Editing Lisa. I'm just popping in here to let you know that no, you're not imagining things. I'm talking in this video about, oh, I just recorded a video yesterday on June 13th or 14th or whatever date I mentioned. That is when I recorded this video, but it is the 28th of June now, so obviously it has taken a while to get the editing done. Life pretty much went sideways on me right after I recorded this video, and I just never had time to get it edited. So that is what I'm trying to do now. I'm not going to go into what all has been going on now. I'll probably share that in the next regular video that I do, which will hopefully be in the coming week. But I didn't want to wait any longer to get this episode out to you, this part 2 of my last regular episode. So even though it's been a while in coming, I hope you'll enjoy it, and we will talk again soon, and I'll attempt to get y'all caught up once again. So anyway, here you go. Here's part 2 to the June episode from earlier this month, and hope you enjoy it. And it was full of knitting and crochet content because it's been over a month since I had recorded a regular podcast, or any podcast, I guess, probably, other than a members video was in there. Yeah, so there was a lot, and I decided I did not want to make the video extra long, so I told you I would do the life happenings part in a separate video, so that's what this is. I just tried to start recording this sitting out on the front porch because our front porch floor is now done. Bill finished that project before we went on vacation. And then like 2 minutes in, it started pouring down rain. I was undercover, except the roof, the floor is great. The roof still leaks out there. That's a whole other project that will require us just replacing our entire roof. That is not happening this year. So yeah, sitting out there in rain coming blowing in from the side and possibly dripping on my head, I thought it might be better to just come inside and try again. So here we are. Okay, so all that to say, if you are really mostly interested in like knitting, crochet, fiber oriented content, this isn't that video. Check back to yesterday's video that I did actually just upload this morning. I will try to put the linky thing in at the top here. It'll be linked down below as well. So check that out. This is more just catching up, letting you know what's been going on in life since I did record back in earlier May. Yeah, we had a vacation. I had a show. I bought a new motorcycle. And we've had, yeah, just stuff going on. So let's catch up. I do have water here. I hope you have beverage. I don't anticipate this is going to be nearly as long as yesterday's video, but still. And maybe have some knitting with you. Would you like to knit? I'm not really good at sitting and knitting while I record a video. I try to do this occasionally. I'm not great at it. Should I even try? No, because, oh, I just pulled a needle out my heel flap stitches. Okay. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just gently sit this down on the table and fix that when we're done talking. Oh, look, now we have Tippy. Great. That spot right there on this old sewing machine has become one of her favorite spots to just lay down, which I think is super funny because she's kind of got a big butt these days for a small cat, and her rear end always hangs off the table. Maybe you'll get to see that. Anyway, all right, let's talk about what's been going on in life besides rain and chubby kitties. I did mention in yesterday's video that our temporary small dog, who was staying here with us for a little over a month, has gone home. She is with her human now, and both of them are quite happy about that. I did get to see her a couple of times since she's been gone, so that's nice because I do kind of miss her. So yeah, Cheddar is not here anymore. Let's see, what else? Okay, vacation. Let's go to vacation. So Bill and I took a vacation for 8 days. We went to New York. Now, our original plan was that we were going to use our new to us boat. Bill bought this boat last year. It's a 20-foot Bayliner, but it's like a 1996 boat. Like, it's not a new boat. It's an old boat, but he bought it last year after our cargo canoe trip to the Erie Canal in Canada, which was fine, but he wanted a boat that could do a little bit bigger water, and that boat had its limitations for sure. I mean, so will this one, obviously, but this one will do a little bit more than that one will. Anyway, this was sort of our shakedown trip for this boat. He spent tons of time last year after he purchased it and earlier this year doing a lot of work on it, both cosmetically, functionally, and with the motor and the, I don't know what it's really called, like the drive parts that make the boat go. He did a lot of work on it. And so we're like, okay, we're going to take this out and we're going to see how this is going to go. So he planned a trip that we were going to do. We were going to put in at the southern part of Lake Cuyahoga, or Cuyahoga Lake in New York, one of the Finger Lakes, go up that, and then there's Cuyahoga and Seneca Canal, or maybe it's Seneca and Cuyahoga Canal, that goes up. I mean, it connects those two lakes, and we were eventually going to end up in Seneca Lake as well, but we were going to take that up to the point where it joins, I think, the Erie Canal, and then there's some other little lakes up there, and then we were going to come back down and then go into Seneca Lake and then come back and leave, you know, obviously where we put in at the bottom of Cuyahoga Lake. Well, we got there on the day that we were leaving, and Bill's, if you're new, my husband is a planner. He is like a cross your T's, dot your I's kind of planner. He leaves nothing to chance. Like, he wants all of his vacation plans planned out, period. I've got a funny story about that, but that's kind of irrelevant to what I'm talking about right now. Anyway, this is actually its own funny story. So yeah, he planned this trip out. We knew where we were going to be docking every night, what we were going to be doing. Great. Okay. So leading up to this trip, I kept checking the weather, and for Cuyahoga Lake, it kept saying, I think the town, is it Ithaca that's there? I don't remember what town I was looking at, but like constantly on the Weather Channel, it was saying flood warning, flood warning, flood warning. And I kept telling him that. I'm like, hey, should we be concerned? There's a flood warning. He's like, no, that's probably for the river, like going through town. I'm sure it's fine. It's not going to like affect the lakes or anything. Okay. And I figured he knew what he was talking about. So we get up there, and the first thing that happened was we were supposed to be putting in at this marina, this state marina, that he had purchased a slip for us to have the boat there overnight. We were going to sleep in the boat and then head off on our journey. But you couldn't buy your parking pass until you got there. You had to do that when you were at the park. So we got there. There was nobody in the office because everything had just kind of opened up that weekend, or that week prior, I guess. It became the season. But they had a note on the window, like, if you need to purchase parking, call this number. This is for the other park nearby, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So I call, and I said, hey, we're here. We have a slip for the night, but we need to park our RV and our trailer. And they're like, your RV? I'm like, well, yeah, we pull our boat trailer with a small RV. Oh, you can't park an RV there. Like, but we're like, that's what we pull our boat trailer with. And like, we have this, oh no, you're not allowed to do that. You can't park an RV there. It's like, okay. Now, to back up a little bit, when Bill was making these plans, he did read about this marina, and it does have a part in there where it says you may not, RVs are not, I can't remember the exact wording. Basically, how it's written, it's like you can't park your RV if you're planning to sleep in it. You can't park it at the marina. You have to park at a campground. It specifies that, like, you can't park at the RV. You have at the marina. You have to park in a campground. Well, we read that as like, if you're going to stay in your RV, you can't park there and stay in it. You have to stay in your boat, which was what we were going to do. That was not the case. We did not read that properly. I had suggested maybe we call and clarify that, and he's like, no, it'll be fine. Okay, so I'm on the phone with this woman, and she's getting this other person who's higher up, and she's like, we're going to help you try to figure something out. And long story short, there was nothing to figure out. They're like, no, you cannot park your RV there. You can put your boat in. You can put your boat in the water, and you can sleep in there as you plan to at your slip that you got. But you have to bring your RV, and you can leave your trailer there, but you have to bring your RV to a campground. And there's 2 campgrounds nearby. Both of them were about 6 miles away from this marina. And I'm like, how do we get back to the campground or the marina? And she's like, oh, well, I guess you'd have to take a taxi or an Uber or something. I'm like, and Bill, in the meantime, he is just like imploding because he had plans. He had this all planned out, how this was gonna work. And he's like talking in my ear over here while I'm trying to talk to this person. He's like, tell them our RV is small. And finally, I'm just like, so I got off the phone with that person. And she also said, another option for you, there's a private marina up the lake a little bit. Here's their number. Maybe call them, see if they can help you out. Great. Okay. Thank you very much. I got off the phone, and he's like, but we have a small RV. Like, this shouldn't be a problem. It's not. I'm like, it does not matter how big our RV is. It could be this big. It's not allowed to park here. We cannot park our RV here. And so he's like, I'm like, I'm going to call this other marina. Okay. So I call this other marina and get that woman on the phone. And I explain our situation, and she's like, you can't put in here. She said, we're not even open. She says, there has been flooding. We have no electricity. I don't have the marina open right now. I'm like, okay. And she said, and besides, even if you get on the lake, she said, you're not going to be able to go anywhere. She said, the locks aren't functioning right now. There's been flooding. The water levels are over the level of the doors of the locks. They can't operate the locks. You can't go anywhere heading east or even west, like right here. She said, plus there's so much debris in the water. You don't want to be going through that. Like, it would be very dangerous. So I'm like, okay. And Bill's listening to all this. And he's still imploding because his original plan did not work out. And we also paid money for other things, apparently, like different places that we were going to, like dock or something. I guess we did pay some fees up front. So anyway, this woman was very nice, and she's just like, yeah, I can't help you with that. She said, now, if you go north, she said, everything west of, and I don't remember the name of the town, but she said, everything west of there is open. She said, you could go up there and you could put in on the canal up there, meaning the Erie Canal. And we're like, great. Do you have any information about where we can do that? She goes, there's a marina up there. I don't know. It's under new management. I don't know what they do, but here's that person's number and their name. Give them a call. Great. So again, very helpful for people who are totally stuck. And at this point in my brain, I'm like, we are going to end up just driving home. Like, this isn't going to happen. So call the next marina. Talk to this woman who owned that marina. And she's like, yeah, we're open. She said, we're not a transient marina. Like, that's not what we do. They have a canal boat rental thing, which was very cool in and of itself. And people like store their boats there and then put them in and out for the year. It's that kind of marina. She says, but you know what, considering your situation, we'll be happy to like let you put in at our marina, and you can just park your RV in your trailer on our, it was big property. And they're like, we'll set you up, it'll be fine, we'll take care of you. Excellent. We're like, now. And she's like, tomorrow. Like, you can do that tomorrow. I'm like, okay. I'm like, we need a place to stay tonight. Do you know of any campgrounds nearby? She's like, yep, there's one right next door to us. Just go past our place and you'll be at this campground. Great. Do you have a phone number? Yes. She gave us the phone number. Fine. So I call the campground. That woman answers. I explain our situation again. And she's like, oh my gosh, you can totally come here. We've got plenty of space. I'll give you a nice big pull through spot. She's like, if you get here before 7 o'clock, our cafe is open. Like, thank you. It was an hour and a half drive to get to this other place, but that was fine. We got there, we got pulled in, we got dinner. It was not inexpensive to stay at this private campground, but it was a very nice facility. The bathrooms were beautiful. Oh my gosh. Anyway, and everybody was lovely. So we did that, and then the next morning, we were expecting some bad weather that day, and so I called the marina next door just to see if we could get in a little earlier, and the guy who answered is like, yeah, you can come over now. He said, I just got here, and she told me you were going to be coming. That's fine. Okay, great, thank you. So we went over there and we were able to launch. And while we were there, and he charged us such a tiny amount of money to use their facility and park our rig there for 8 days. Like, it was a fraction of what we paid the night before just to camp one place. But it was like, people were so nice. And we're like, hey, so this wasn't the trip we were planning to do. We were planning to be doing all this stuff to the east. We have nothing with us that tells us any information about this western part of the Erie Canal. We don't know anything about it. We can look things up on our phones, but that's about it. He's like, here, I have an app that I give to our customers. Like, it will have all the links to everything, talks about all the towns. Anything you need to know, you should be able to access from there. And he just let us use it for free. Thank you so much. It was these kind of things that restore my hope in humanity, that there are good people who are willing to help other people. You need that sometimes. So anyway, that was on Saturday? I don't remember. At this point, it doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, because we drove up Friday. So Saturday we put in, and we got on the water. And it was a lovely trip. I meant to write down all of the different towns we went through. I'm probably going to be putting pictures in of things that we did and saw as we went along. They may not be in actual chronological order, though, because I did not write this stuff down. I forgot. However, I can tell you generally that the Erie Canal, this is actually its 200th anniversary year, and New York does not charge for people to recreationally use the Erie Canal. I don't know that there's much commercial traffic on the Erie Canal at this point in time anyway, but you can use it recreationally, within their limits, what you can do. And it was so nice. It was very rural for the most part. But then you came to these little towns along the way. I'm trying to remember. Bushnell's Basin, I think, was the first one we stopped at to dock for the night. We didn't go very far the first day just because we had a shorter day. We did hit bad weather, including a thunder and lightning storm while we're out in the boat, and I'm like in the cuddy, like Googling, like, is it safe to be in a boat on the water in a lightning storm? And everything's like, no, please get off the water. And we're like, I can't get off the water. And they're like, stay away from electronics and metal. It's like, I'm surrounded by. We survived. It was fine. Oh my gosh, can you hear the rain? It is really raining now. Anyway, so the nice thing about all of these towns that you come to is they really cater to the canal people, like people who are on the canal with their boats. Every little town we came to had docks that you could, like a wall that you could tie up to and dock for the night. A lot of them were free. Some of them did charge a nominal fee. Again, it was pretty minimal, maybe $20 at the most. All of them had bathrooms, accessible bathrooms. A lot of them, most of them also had showers. It was incredible. Like, this was a really nice resource. So if you're interested in boating the western part of the Erie Canal, I can highly recommend it from that perspective. Everything seemed pretty clean. Most places we were seemed pretty safe. There were some towns that we didn't actually stop in because we did not need to, but they looked fine. A lot of the towns had like restaurants and other resources very close to the canal, and you figure that makes sense because these towns originally came to be because of the canal. So they've continued to build up, and that is a huge part of their economy now, is the canal traffic. So we enjoyed going into these little towns, finding places for dinner. Some of them were, like bar and grill kind of places. Others were more like little family restaurants, pizza places. But it was lovely. So yeah, Bushnell Basin was the first place that we stayed. Like I said, I can't remember all of them. I will try to put names with the pictures as I'm putting them in here. We were trying to not stay 2 nights at the same place, like on the way out and the way back, because we basically were going out to, there's a town called Gasport, and then right past Gasport. Gasport, ironically, does not have fuel, but that's beside the point. I'm trying to remember what the last one was that we went out and when we turned around. And the only reason we went way out there was because, according to this app and everything that we found, we could get fuel there, which we ended up not being able to do either. But yeah, it was great. Like, we did end up staying 2 nights in, I'm sorry, this is so crazy. Why can't I remember the names of these places? They're all just blurring together. Anyway, there was one place that we did spend 2 nights, one on the way out, one on the way back, and it ended up being back-to-back nights, actually. It was very nice. But here's the thing. Out of all the resources available at these towns, gasoline or fuel for boats, like at docks or anything, was not available. Now, there were a couple places we passed that did have signs for fuel, like for boats, but they weren't open yet. And I don't know if that was just because it was early in the season or what. And the one place that was supposed to have fuel and was open, we got there and the guy's like, well, we have fuel, but we don't have a hose for our fuel tank that we can put the fuel in your boat yet. And that was a head scratcher. And so we were very low on fuel, and Bill had also taken a lot of gas cans. We have Rotopacks that we use on the motorcycles, and they're like these flat gas cans. And he had like 12.5 gallons of gasoline stashed in under the front of the boat, which when I found that out, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna die. But we were fine. It's just a little unnerving to know you're sleeping on all this gasoline. So anyway, we used it. It came in handy. And so he had to take a couple of those and actually walk about, I don't know, it was maybe a mile and a half from this dock that we were at to this gas station and back, just so we had enough fuel to get back to the town that we were going to stay in again, where we could walk to a gas station that was maybe, I'll say maybe a quarter of a mile from where we were docked. It wasn't that far, but we made that trip with all those gas cans because I think our boat holds like 30 some gallons of gas. is what I think I remember him telling me. We were filling these gas cans, going up, filling them, coming back. He was dumping them in. I'm walking up and back, up and back, up and back. And it was funny because I kept seeing a lot of the same people, and they're like, what you doing? I'm like, hey, do what you got to do. So that wasn't super fun. But it served our purpose. So, and I think we did maybe go at one other place that we stopped, and we did get gas one other place, but we didn't need a lot at that point. We were full, plus we had all of our gas cans full. So we made it back, and it was fine. I want to say we saw a lot of interesting stuff on the trip, but to be honest, we really didn't, aside from like walking to gas stations or to restaurants, we didn't really leave the canal area very much. Now, the canal itself, again, it was very a rural area. And so you saw a lot of geese, ducks, fish jumping. We saw deer occasionally. Bill did say he saw some turtles. I did not see the turtles. It was kind of cold though for turtles. Yeah, so I mean, it was pretty. It was a very pretty area, and there were a couple places where we did walk to different things. I don't remember the name of the town, but I'll probably put the pictures in here where there was a lot of pretty stuff. A really pretty mural painted under this one bridge. There was a big apple. They called it the Big Apple. Yeah, there was things like that. We did walk over to see this waterfall in this one area, which it was not as impressive as it looked like it was going to be from the pictures, and it was kind of far off. You couldn't actually get up to it, but you could see it sort of through the trees. That was okay, but yeah, it wasn't the kind of vacation where we like actually went and saw a lot of things. It was an experience. This trip was just experiencing using the boat, seeing what we might need to tweak. And we did kind of keep a running list of things that Bill's like, okay, I need to change this. I need to do something about this. I need to whatever. In fact, one of the things was he had built a camper cover for the boat, like walls, because we have a bimini cover, but he built the sides with plastic windows and screens and layers like to cover things if you don't want the wind coming in. It was lovely and it worked great. The only thing about it was where it connects to the windshield on the front of the boat. When it rained, water was running off of it into the boat, and so it would drip on us if we were in the front, and obviously one of us would have been driving. I did drive the boat some, and that was cool. I didn't freak out about it because we were going slow. When we were on lakes last year, just trying the boat out, and Bill's like, go faster so you can get up on plane. And it's like, I didn't like that at all. But going slower, I was fine with it. So, but yeah, the water would come in. And finally I said, you know what we need? We need like to create like a gutter, like basically a rain gutter there that'll catch the water and funnel it back outside. So when we were at dinner one night at a pizza place, I said, hey, weird request, but do you guys have any aluminum foil? Like, I just need a strip of, like a piece of aluminum foil about this big. And she's like, sure. And so she gave me aluminum foil, and we got back to the boat, and I, kind of cut it into a few pieces and folded it up to make it thicker. And then we like poked holes in it so that the snaps could go through it, and it acted as a gutter, and it worked great. And I was like, I know exactly what I need to do when I get home to make one of these like more permanent. And so when we got home, he was trying to do that with like this angled aluminum. And in the end, it wasn't going to work because it was too thick and there were other issues. And in the end, we decided we're just going to keep a box of aluminum foil, heavy duty aluminum foil in the boat. And we can just make our little gutter when we need to. So that was kind of funny. Anyway, yeah, the trip was fine. We did have fun. Our last night there, I did talk about this in yesterday's podcast. The last night there, we were in a town called Fairport, which was probably the biggest town we had been in the whole time. And they had a lot of cool stuff. They had, there was an Irish pub, so we went to the Irish pub. And then when we came back, you were supposed to check in with the dock master. That was the only place we had to do something like that. Well, the dockmaster doesn't get there till 4 o'clock. So by the time we got back from dinner, he was there. And we met him there because you had to pay to dock there, which was fine. He gave us a welcome bag. It was like the neighborhood welcome people. It was this really nice bag, and it had all kinds of pamphlets and things about the town, things you could do, coupons. There's a used bookstore in the town, and they donate like random novels that they put in there so everybody gets a book. It was really cute. So I'm looking through all of this, and I saw one that there was a yarn store, Lift Bridge Yarns, which we did end up going to. I mentioned that yesterday, and I showed the yarn that I bought. That was really fun. But they also had a hardware or tool. I think it was called a tool thrift shop. So it was this shop that it benefited like older individuals, like senior citizens, and their services. And so Bill's like, we have got to go there, not because of what it benefited. I mean, that was great too, but he's like, tools, a tool thrift shop? Yes, we're going there. Kind of like I'm saying, yarn shop? Yes, we're going there. So we went to this tool thrift shop. He was in his glory. Oh my gosh, he bought stuff. I'm like, we're carrying all this stuff around. Okay, but it made him happy. And then we went to the yarn shop after that, and he's carrying all this hardware with him that he bought, these clamps and all kinds of stuff. And where I'm in there looking around in the yarn, and one of the women who worked there, she's like, you were at the thrift store? And he's like, yeah, because that's one of my favorite places. It was so funny. So anyway, that was a fun way to end the trip, having that be our last night. And then we did get back, the next day to where we had put in. Managed to get out of the water. There was, again, it was rainy and it was an ordeal, but we managed. I am not very adept at backing the trailer up with the RV for sure. I can do it with my car fairly well, but the RV was a little bit more challenging. But we did it. It was fine. And we got on the road and came home that night. So yeah, it was an interesting trip. It was not at all the trip that we meant to be on, that we're meant to be on. And Bill's still a little bit bitter about that fact that all of his planning was for naught. But you know what? Even if we could have parked at that first marina that we stopped at, that we were supposed to stay at, we couldn't have gone anywhere because of everything being closed from the flooding. So it all worked out. It was just different. So anyway, that was our vacation. And then as soon as we got home from the vacation, I had 2 weeks to finish getting ready for my show. So that's pretty much all I did. That's why I said yesterday, like, I really didn't even paint or anything because I haven't paint as in like my fun painting I've been doing, or my bookshelf painting. Like my bookshelf that I've been trying to get painted is still downstairs in process. So I did get back to that a little bit this week, but it's still not done. Yeah, I just didn't have time to do any of that stuff. I was finishing up. I'd gotten most of my show dyeing done before we went away, which was nice. I still had a little bit to do. And then because I am me, I always end up at the last minute thinking, oh, I could dye this whole other thing. And I couldn't. I did not have time. The yarn was prepped. I didn't have time to do it, and it would have been a kit thing, so I didn't get it put together. It'll end up in the shop at some point because I have the yarn prepped and ready to go, but it's not going to happen for a little while yet. So anyway, I'm glad I did not decide to take that on. It was nice. This show is probably the first show in all the years I've done shows that I did not feel totally stressed out going into it. And that was nice. I need to remember how to do that. How to remember not to be stressed. Yeah, so we had that going on. And then in the midst of all of this, meaning vacation and everything else, is I got a new motorcycle. Now, if you've been watching for a while, you know that my husband and I both ride motorcycles. He's been a lifelong rider. I've only been riding for the last 9 years or so. I've had a variety of bikes because he keeps buying bikes saying, oh, this is the bike you need. This is the kind of bike you need. This will be the best bike for you. And Honestly, the first bike he purchased for me was my favorite bike ever. I loved it. I've ridden it consistently over the years. It's not a great bike for long distances. It was a BMW F650 GS, a 2002 single cylinder, so it was a thumper. But I love that bike. Absolutely loved it. I named it Princess Buttercup. um, we just sold Buttercup yesterday. I'm sad. I'm sad to see Buttercup go. But my time, what we've decided, or what I decided actually, is my time on two wheels has come to an end. Um, uh, Before we went on vacation, Bill showed me this video. He's like, hey, I want you to look at this. Would you ever consider getting something like this? And it was a video for a Can-Am. You've probably seen them. They're the three-wheelers. There's the smaller ones that are called Rikers, and there's bigger ones that are called Spiders. And the Can-Am Canyons are the newest ones that have come out, and they have a higher ground clearance and they're a little more rugged, got grippier tires, and they're meant to be able to be driven on any kind of road, not just pavement. And that's always my big deal, is like I don't like riding on two wheels off of pavement, like dirt or gravel. Hate it. It makes me so nervous. I'm always afraid I'm going to fall. I have fallen, not usually while I'm going. It's usually like when I'm stopped or I put my foot down wrong or whatever. And I'm tired of falling. I'm old. And I don't bounce as well and things hurt, you know? And when we were in the Isle of Man last year and I was riding this little bike, it was nice, it was light, I really liked it. I did drop it one day and I hurt my ankle, and my ankle is still not right. And I think that was the one that just pushed me over the edge. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I don't feel safe. I do have a Ural, which is a sidecar rig, and I love that bike too. That's the bike that'll go anywhere. I've taken that when we've done BDR trips, the backcountry discovery routes, and I have driven gnarly off-road trails, like single track, and like it'll go anywhere just slowly. It's not a good highway bike because its top speed is probably like 50-55 miles an hour. If you're going downhill, you can get it up to 60-65, but like it's not a great one for any interstate kind of travel. So, and that was always what I had, you know, a nicer two-wheeled bike for. And I do have another GS that's bigger than Buttercup that Bill bought me because a different bike he had gotten me a long time ago, I kept dropping. I would fall over because it was very top heavy. It was a Honda something, I don't remember. But anyway, I never liked that bike very much. I felt heavy and top heavy, and I did drop it, and I hurt myself on that too. And again, dropping a bike at going 0 miles an hour, that is what I am known for. So, like not every time I'm on it, but like when it happens and it hurts. So anyway, we had gotten rid of that bike. He got me this other GS that was factory lowered, had a lower seat, and I could flat foot it, and it was great. It was a very comfortable bike. We do still have that one. He's not going to get rid of that one, I don't think. Just because I don't think he could get the money out of it, what it's worth. Plus he's put a lot into it since we've had it. So I guess theoretically I could still ride that if I wanted to. But for big trips, after he showed me this Can-Am Canyon, my first thought was, are you kidding me? I've just spent 9 years trying to learn how to ride on two wheels, and now you want me to go to 3? I was kind of insulted. But then after I looked into it and I thought about it, I'm like, you know what? I feel like this probably would be a good idea, because that bike, between that bike and the Ural, I could go anywhere. I don't have to worry about what road surface I'm on, and I will be stable because I'll be on 3 wheels. Now, not to say you can't flip either of those, because you could if you tried really hard. It's actually easier probably on the Ural than the Canyon. But anyway, so all that to say is, Bill and I, neither of us had ever driven a 3-wheeler. Sidecar rigs are very different than 3-wheel motorcycles. So we signed up and we took the Total Control Training 3-wheel motorcycle training course before we went away on vacation, because we found one that was close to us and we could both get into it. And the nice thing about that was Can-Am offers some sort of a rebate discount thing if you take that course. And we're like, sure, if we're going to end up buying one, it would be great to have that. So we took the course, and that was the first chance I got to ride that kind of a three-wheeled bike. They're automatics, you're not shifting. The Canyon, actually, you are shifting, but it's like a semi-automatic thing. There's no clutch. You only have the one brake on the foot brake. There's no hand brake. So the front and back brakes are linked. It's really cool. It's very different. It feels very different than anything else I've driven because it's a different beast than a two-wheeled motorcycle or a sidecar rig. But anyway, after we took the training, I'm like, yes, I really do think I want this. Now, the bad thing about this is the Canyons are brand new this year. There are no used ones. And we are not people who typically buy brand new anything. You buy a current year anything, and basically as soon as you take it off the lot, it depreciates immediately. So that's not usually our jam. However, we are planning a 3-week trip later this year to Canada. And I was like, if I could have this bike for that trip, I would feel so much better about that trip. I'm nervous about that trip for other reasons, but riding wise, I said I would feel so much better about it. And so we looked at it, and we looked at the finances of it, and you know, what I can contribute to that. I mean, basically we bought one. I'm going to be paying on it for the next several years. But it was an investment I was willing to make because now I know that I can go riding with Bill anywhere because he is great for taking us on rides. But then all of a sudden we end up on a dirt road or a gravel road that he's like, oh, I didn't know this was gravel. And then I freak out because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to fall. I don't have to worry about that anymore. And that makes me feel so much better. And I know some people are judgy about it, and you know, just like there's yarn snobs, there's motorcycle snobs who are like, oh, well, you're not really a motorcyclist if you know, that's baloney. Like, you ride what is comfortable for you and what you feel safe on. You ride your own ride. And so that's what I'm doing. But anyway, what was goofy about this whole thing was we knew which one I wanted. There's 3 different versions of it. And on our way to vacation, we were going to be going right past one of the dealerships that had some in stock. And so we stopped there on our way up, and I got to sit on it. They don't let you test drive brand new things, but I got to sit on it and see it and everything. And then another sales guy came over because we were asking, okay, can you give us some numbers, like what this would be out the door? And as he was looking into that, this other sales guy came over and he's like, I just sold that last night. The guy put money down on it. And so he's like, we have the other one, which was like the middle range version. And I'm like, oh, okay. But anyway, this dealership that we were at, they charge like extra fees. A lot of dealerships do that, like unpacking, uncrating fees and setup fees and things like that on motorcycles. But there's another dealership that was closer to where we live that we knew doesn't do that with the fees. And so Bill's like, after we left, Bill's like, call them and see what their price would be, you know, for that same bike. And these bikes there's not a lot of them in the country right now. They are actually made in Canada, which is interesting. But because of all of the tariff stuff, I guess there's like no more coming in right now, and parts are very hard to get, which is a whole other thing. But anyway, so I called this other dealership, asked about that bike, asked what it would be, and he gave us a number that was significantly lower, relatively speaking, than what the other one was. And I'm like, how much would it be? Like, could we put money down on this over the phone and hold it for a week because we're on our way on to vacation? And he had talked to his manager, and he's like, yeah, we can do that. So that's what we did. I don't recommend trying to buy a motorcycle or anything probably remotely. Like, I'm sure there are people who do this kind of thing all the time. I'm not one of them. And it was kind of stressful because we had to coordinate a whole lot of stuff and like get our insurance, because at least in Pennsylvania, you actually have to have the item that you're buying, the vehicle, the motorcycle. I don't think this is the case for cars, but the motorcycle, you have to have your motorcycle actually insured before you actually own it, which seems totally bonkers to me, but that's how it works. So I had to work all that out while we were on the road and on the water and everything. But it worked out. And so then the day after we got home from vacation, the next morning we rode down to the dealership, finalized it, and I have a new bike, and I probably put a picture in here for you. It's still a little unreal for me, or surreal maybe. Um, the first payment will be kicking in soon, so then it will become very real. But yeah, I'm excited. I haven't gotten to drive it a whole lot. I drove it home from the dealership that day, and I've driven it just a little bit around here. Um, it's taking getting used to. It's very high off the ground. Because of the suspension, you kind of feel everything. It's very nice. It's got a great computerized system on it. More bells and whistles than I'll probably ever use, but like in that respect, because it's got like Apple Play, and I don't have an Apple phone, although I guess they are gonna like be able to connect it to Androids too at some point. So anyway, and then Bill's been doing what Bill does anytime we get a new bike. He's like, okay, I have to outfit it with a better toolkit than it came with, and you need this, and you need this, and we're going to put this on it. And so he's been doing his thing like that. So anyway, that's what's been happening around here. That, and I think I told you guys, my daughter, she had moved out of here last summer. She had lived here for about 4 years, over the pandemic years is when she moved home. And then last year she got her own apartment. And then this year she and two of her friends were going to get a place together. So they are still in the midst of moving, because she has her apartment till the end, I think, of this month. So she had some overlap time to get stuff moved. So we're still trying to help her with that kind of thing. I was actually that's where I was supposed to be right now, was helping her move a couple of bigger pieces of furniture in my car. But there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in the town where she's at. The No Kings protests, I think there's one of those going on there. And there were other things. Her entire block where her apartment was closed off because something was going on at the Y down the road. And so it was like, okay, guess we're not doing that today. But we are getting together later, and we're going to go to an escape room, which will be fun. So anyway, yeah, all kinds of things happening. And Bill has got another project going on down in the garage that's underneath the porch room where I record sometimes. He pulled everything out. That's like where we used to keep our lawn tractor, but now the tractor we have is too large to go in there. But it's where he keeps like all of the salt for the driveway, and all of the gardening tools are down there, and a bunch of other kind of tools like that he uses are in there. And it was just sort of mayhem. So he pulled everything out of there the past couple of days, and he's going to paint it. He needs to redo the ceiling because like insulation's falling down. And I think he's going to put a shelf unit up in there. So that's his current project. And I am just in the process of trying to get that bookcase finished. I still have to put my garden in. I haven't done that yet. It's been tilled for over a month. I was really optimistic that I would get things in before the end of May, but he tilled, and then we went on vacation, and then the weather was just really crappy. So I did go this week and I bought plants. I've got tomato and pepper plants, and I've got some herbs, and I bought a bunch of flowers. And I bought seed potatoes actually ages ago. Hopefully they're still okay. At this point, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to put the stuff in because I've got it, but I don't know what to expect as far as what's going to grow, because I feel like this is probably the latest I've ever put garden stuff in. I feel like there was probably one other year, maybe, now that I'm saying that out loud, that it feels like maybe we put things in a little bit later, but I don't know. I'm going to put it in and just hope for the best. That's all I can do. So that's it. That's the life stuff. I hope you enjoyed that. This is probably going to take me a little while to get this edited, because I do want to put vacation pictures in there with everything. But thanks for watching. And I will be back before the end of June with a regular episode. So stay tuned for that. Hope you guys are having a good weekend. Stay safe, have fun, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.